I've thought about mothers and fathers the first time they saw a seizure take their child to that lonely place where they can't reach them. I've thought about the pain and helplessness that goes along with watching a child you love, a child whose happiness you live for, struggle with a disease that mom and dad can't fix. A disease that doesn't necessarily go away with the doctor's medicine, that isn't funded and recognized like a lot of other diseases. 2.5 million Americans suffer from epilepsy. Epilepsy affects more Americans than Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, and cerebral palsy combined. It still receives far fewer federal research dollars than any of these diseases. How do we find a cure? How do we get there when too many policymakers and too much of the public still think that epilepsy is an inconvenience rather than a serious and possibly deadly disease?
If you wait for me, then I'll come for you. Although I have traveled far, I always hold a place for you in my heart.
She's having a little one right now. You okay?
3 days before her due date, I felt different. I felt like there was something wrong. And I went to the doctor right away, and they told us she was in distress. And a few hours later, she was delivered via C-section, and she was born severely anemic. And that night, they told us she was seizing. And she has had seizures ever since, and she has about 10 to 15 a day. She's on 3 different medications, and they're not controlling them.
All the episodes that he has during the day, they're painful for the family, painful for the mom especially. And it's like a little kid there, but you can even feel it because he doesn't do anything. It's really sad to see a kid like is living that kind of life.
I used to get the ones turning my head and the eyes. Well, right now I'm getting the ones that I just stayed like that, but the teachers don't notice. That's what gets me frustrated. Even though I tell my teachers and I can't do nothing about it to make them understand.
This is a disease that impacts a child who's trying to grow up and to develop, because seizures can absolutely impact a child's ability to speak, walk, learn, and to develop their identity. So time is of the essence in this disorder.
We have been, for the last 8.5 years of her life, trying to find a remedy. And nothing has really worked to the point where it's eradicated. There were times when we brought it down, but then it was at the cost of her not being alert. There are medications that are so strong that have such a sedative effect on her that she was effectively out.
So the problems in epilepsy research are manifold. We would like to treat epilepsy more effectively. We really would like to be able to prevent it when we know something that's a risk factor for epilepsy has occurred. And can we also discover why epilepsy causes all these neuropsychiatric problems, cognitive problems? Can we get a handle on this connection?
What would her functioning be like if she didn't have any seizures and no medications to sedate her? And what would her learning be like then? What would her ability to communicate with us be? And so far, we don't know.
We don't want to lose another moment to this disease. But there's a perilous shortage of child neurologists in the United States. In fact, in the Western region, we have less than 1 child neurologist per 100,000 children here. And I see that daily with the wait list.
It was like a year ago when we contact Dr. Partikia. He actually helped us. Oh, actually, he's more awake. His legs is stronger. He can stand now. He smile a lot more often. You know, you can see this actually alive. It's like you having a kid at home, you know, like.
The big limiting factor is the resources. So in terms of NIH, National Institutes of Health funding, the dollars given for epilepsy per patient is much smaller than for multiple sclerosis or many other disorders. So it's not a proportionate funding that represents truly how big the problem of epilepsy and related conditions are.
I am personally indebted to the Epilepsy Foundation because they made it very easy for me at a young stage in my career to choose the path to serve the underserved. But there's only one of me here, and there absolutely needs to be more.
The foundation's support was critical because we were able to bring Dr. Sean Hussain to train in pediatric neurology and then specialize in epilepsy. And this is what we want to do. This is what training and research is all about. These are people who hopefully would meet Chloe when she was a newborn and have an impact on where she would have been today.
What are all these children, all these people, all these families going to do if there's no funding? What are we going to do if there's not enough research? If there's not enough pediatric neurologists? Enough medications, more changes, better. We can't just be okay with what we have now, because even one seizure a day is too many.
So right now I get him often at night. I can't control him.
We're going to get control, whether it's through medication, diet, other things. I promise you.
If you wait for me, then I'll come for you. Although I've traveled far, I always hold a place for you in my heart. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your